As Sunday arrives, it's time for another weekly reflection. Earlier, I did a video on the importance of regular self-reflection, and I do suggest, if you're watching this, that you consider taking on this practice as well. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to take hours. Just a few moments each week to pause, to look back, and to see what you can learn from yourself. It's one of the most valuable habits I've developed. Over the past week, I spent most of my time thinking about self-doubt. It started with observing people around me. The way they preface their answers with self-deprecating remarks, the way they apologize for their opinions before they've even shared them, the way they make themselves small before they even speak. And then, of course, I saw it in myself too. I caught myself doing the same things I was observing in others. I think self-doubt is one of the most critical elements of success, or rather, one of the biggest obstacles to it. How can we succeed if we don't have even the basic trust and confidence in ourselves? How can we move forward if we're constantly second-guessing every thought, every decision, every word we say? How can we expect others to take us seriously if we don't take ourselves seriously first? It's interesting to observe, in others and in myself, how we often fail to recognize that we are always entitled to have our own opinions. We don't need permission to think. We don't need to earn the right to speak. We don't need to wait until we're certain before we share what's on our minds. And yet, we use self-doubt as a shield, a way to cover up our vulnerability, a way to protect ourselves from the possibility of being wrong. I remember the state I was in when I first started this channel. I had absolutely no self-trust, to the extent that I needed external validation for almost everything, even the most trivial things. It's not an exaggeration to say that I could barely trust myself to decide whether to step forward with my left foot or my right. I was that disconnected from my own judgment. I needed someone else to tell me I was okay before I could believe it myself. This week, I also spent time thinking about the gap in my neural pathways, how I fail to connect the things I've learned and apply them in every setting where they're needed, how knowledge sits in one compartment of my mind, and when I move to a different context, it doesn't travel with me. I learned the capitalization rule in essays, but I couldn't apply it to video titles. I learned communication techniques in one setting, but I forgot them in another. It's a pattern I keep noticing, and I want to understand it better. What I've started doing is this. Once I discover a manifestation, I dig into it. I don't just acknowledge it and move on. I explore it. I ask questions about it. I try to understand where it comes from and why it persists. Then I come up with techniques to address it. I experiment with those techniques in real situations. I pay attention to what works and what doesn't. And if something isn't working, I change it. I refine it. I try a different approach. Today, something else came to mind during this reflection. I realized that my weekly reflections have been missing something. They've included what I've done, how I've done it, what went wrong, and what I could do better next time. They've been useful, but there's one thing I haven't been including: what my main focus is for the following week. And I think that's important, because when I add that piece, I give myself a clear direction. I give myself something specific to work toward. Then, during the next reflection, I can ask myself, have I addressed my main focus? Have I made improvements on the manifestation I wanted to work on? I think this will constantly remind me of the manifestations I'm working through and what I should do to self-correct. It will keep me accountable. It will keep me focused. And eventually, I believe this practice will help me get rid of the manifestation altogether. So today, I'm setting a main focus for next week. My main focus is to be confident when sharing my opinions, even in situations where I'm uncertain whether I have the correct answer. I want to actively and confidently tell others what I think. I want to answer their questions with the mindset that I trust my answer. Not because I'm always right, but because I trust myself enough to share what I think. Because I know that even if I'm wrong, I can handle it. Even if I'm challenged, I can learn from it. The goal isn't to never be wrong. It's to trust myself enough to speak anyway.